We are live. Hi everyone, welcome back to Geeks for Geeks practice. Today in this video we'll be discussing the problem that is find missing numbers and missing and repeating number in the given array. This particular problem has been asked in a lot of organizations, like it has been asked in Amazon, Shaw, Goldman Sachs, Samsung, and a lot of other companies have also asked this question. So please give me a plus one in the chat if my voice is clearly audible to everyone and the screen is visible, so that I can start with this particular problem as soon as possible. Also, let me know in the comments that how many of you have solved this particular problem yesterday, so that I can understand that how many of you did participate. And if you were not able to solve this question, or if you are not able to come up with a particular solution, so you can let me know about that as well. So please give me a quick plus one in the chat if my voice is clearly audible to everyone and the screen is visible, so that we can start with this particular question as early as possible, right? Okay, this is a very interesting problem. As I told you, the name of the problem is find missing and repeating number. So it's a very easy problem and it has 3 to 4 ways to do it. So I'll let you know all of those ways, right? So the name of the problem is find. The name of the problem is find missing and repeating. You can just give me a quick plus one in the chat if my voice is clearly audible to everyone and the screen is visible. That will help me to start quickly, right? Okay, I can see a lot of people are there. You can just give me a quick plus one. So you have to find the missing and the repeating number in the given array, right? This problem, as I said previously, this problem has been asked in Show, which pays quite well. Apart from this, it has also been asked in Amazon. I guess Microsoft has also asked this, and Samsung, right? Also Goldman Sachs is there. So these are the top companies that have asked this question. Hi Mahesh, hi Shreya, and hi others. Also, one more update that I'll like to give you. Yesterday I couldn't take the problem of the day, or you can say Lead Code Daily Challenge on Code Error. So I'll be uploading the recording for that particular video. So make sure to watch it after that is over. Like Shreya, Mahesh, and a lot of other Harsh. I know you guys are following us on Code Error as well. So I'll upload the problem for yesterday, and today also I have done the live stream for today. So for yesterday I'll upload the video right after this stream. So for within some time I'll upload it, and after that this particular today's problem I have uploaded already, so you can consider to watch that. Watch that. I don't think the notification went to people, like there was some glitch from YouTube, so that's why you can consider to watch it, right? And make sure to hit the like button, and once you understand the problem you can write there understood in the chat, right? You can write understood in the chat there, so that I get notified that you all have understood that problem, because like many people were not present in today's live there, right? So this is the question that is find missing and repeating numbers. So let's come back to this question. All of you can just like the video and give me a plus one in the chat, so that we can start, and Shreya and others, you all can acknowledge that okay, you will watch the stream on Code Error, right? You can just write a plus one in the chat for that, right? So you'll be given an unsorted array. So you'll be given an array which is not sorted, and in that array what will happen? A particular number will occur more than once, and a particular number will occur less than once, and all the numbers will be from the range 1 to n, right? All the numbers in the array will be from the range 1 to n. Let's suppose that the array size here, what the problem is saying is, let's suppose that the array size is n, right? So total, if n elements are there in the array, let's suppose that there are n elements in the array, right? So it is saying that if there are n elements in the array, if the size of the array is n, then what will happen? If the size of the array is n, then in that case what you have to do is, all the elements of the array, that is arri, let's suppose that ith element is arri, so arri will be between 1 to n, right? So each element of the array will be between 1 to n, where n is the size of the array. So all the elements of the array will be between 1 to n, right? And it is saying that one of the elements would be repeating and one of the elements will not be like it is saying that one of the elements would be missing and one of the elements would be repeating in this particular given array, right? All of you can give me a quick plus one in the chat, and please hit the like button if you have understood this question. Like if I give you an array like this 1 3 3, so in this you can say that okay, all the elements should be occurring between 1 to 2, like if the n size here is what? N size here is 3 for this particular array, n is equal to 3 because there are 3 elements. So since n is equal to 3 in this particular array, so in this particular array, since the value of n is 3, so that's why what you will say is, okay, since n is 3, so the element should be present between 1 to 3. So you will observe, when you observe, so you will see that 1 is occurring, so that's perfectly fine. Then 3 is occurring 2 times, so that's also fine. You will see that okay, 2 is not occurring, so you will say that okay, 2 is the missing number, 2 is the missing number, so you will return 2 as the missing number, and you will say that okay, if there is a missing number, so that means one of the numbers is repeating, because all the numbers are from the range 1 to n. So that means a pigeonhole kind of principle, that right. So that's why if you have 3, so 3 is occurring 2 number of times, so that's why you will say that okay, this is the number that is repeating, right? So you'll say okay, 3 is the repeating number, right? I have taken a very small example, that let's say the size of the array n is equal to 3. If the size is 3, in that case the element should be present between the range 1 to 3. If the element should be present between the range 1 to 3, in that case you can see the original array. In the original array you have 1 3 3. So that's why you can say that okay, 2 is the element which is not present, and 3 is the element which is present more than once, right? Please give me a +1 in the chat if the problem statement is clear to everyone, and then I can proceed further, right? All of you can just give me a quick +1 in the chat, so that I can know that okay, this part is clear. Hi Peaky Blinder. Okay, thanks a lot Shreya for the understanding part, right? Okay, now if you have this particular array, right, let's say I give you this array that is 3 1 and 3, right? So the size of this array, I'm taking this array for example, so that it's small, so that the work will be easier. So that's why n is equal to 3. If n is equal to 3, so the elements that should be present is 1 to 3, right? But you have been given this particular array, they have given you this particular array, right? All of you can just keep on interacting in the chat, +1 in the chat whenever you understand something would help, because that will help me to move forward, right? Now if you have been given this particular array, so one of the things that you can do is you can easily say that I can sort the array, right? If I sort this particular array, because in this way I will not be able to check, but since every element is lying between the range since every array of I is lying between the range 1 to n, so that's why what will happen if I sort this particular array. So thanks a lot Satyen Singh. Okay, so if I sort this particular array, so that will help. Right, why sorting will help? Because I can see that if I sort it, so it will be 1, then 3 and 3, right? So I will say that okay, the first element should be equal to 1, the second element should be equal to 2, the third element should be equal to 3, right? So in this particular case, I can easily get that particular element. How? I can see that okay, at the index 1 is occurring, and that's perfectly fine. But that at this particular index, I can easily observe that the element 2 which should occur, it is not occurring, right? At this particular index 2, element 2 should occur. So 2 is the missing number. I'll say okay, I'll mark my 2 as missing, and I can easily get the repeating number, right? And here also I can easily get the 3 as the repeating number if this particular array that has been given to me is sorted. So suppose there are n elements, so in that case this will take order of n log n time complexity, right? It will take order of n log n time complexity, and this space complexity would be, for this approach, the space complexity would be order of 1. You can just keep stay till the end, like you can stay for 10-20 minutes, because I'll be explaining in deep every approach that's possible for this particular problem, right? So I hope that this part is clear. If you have understood the sorting part, you can give me a +1 or write clear in the chat for a little acknowledgement purpose. So I can do sorting, and I know that the first element should be equal to 1, second should be equal to 2, third should be equal to 3. So in this way I can keep on comparing with the indexes. I can see that okay, the index at the index 2, element 2 is not present, so I'll say okay, 2 is a missing number, and eventually I'll be able to find that 3 is the repeating number, right? So that's what I'll do in this particular approach. Now for this particular problem, what I can do is, another thing that I can do is, that's very popular thing that I can do, right? Now I'll expand the array size, because let's say if I have 1, if I have 2, if I have, let's say if I have 2, then let's say I have 4, I have 4, something like this, right? If I have this particular array, let me just shuffle it a little so that you can find it more randomized. So if I have 1, this thing, if I have this particular array, right? So for this particular array, the size is, the n value is 4, right? So I know that this has been given to me, right? This is given, this array is given, and what I expected was the array should have been 1 2 3 and 4, like this, right? So if I wanted this particular array, all of you can hit the like button. I can see the number of watching are more, the likes are less. You can hit the like button, that motivates me to bring more quality, well detailed, well explained editorials for you, right? So if I have this particular array, given to me, so in that case what I can do is, I can easily see that I can use the concept of hash maps, right? That's very popular, like that's something that we like to see whenever there's a problem. We always go to the hash maps, right? We always go to the hash maps for help. So what I can do with hash maps is, what I can do with the concept of hash maps is, I can easily mark the frequencies of all the numbers, right? I know that the element should be present between the range 1 to n, right? I know that. So I can easily use the concept of hashing, or you can say hash map, but hash map saying would not be good. I can say that I can use the concept of hashing all the frequencies part, right? So I know that the element should be present, 1 should be present, 2 should be present, 3 should be present, and 4 should be present, right? These elements, I know that these should be present. So what I can say is, I can easily say that okay, these elements should be present. So I'll iterate to the array one by one. So I'm at this particular element, I say okay, I'll say that okay, I'm at this element 4, so its frequency is 1. Then what will happen? I am this element at this element 1. Once I am at this element 1, so I'll say okay, its frequency is also 1. Now I'll be at this element 4, so I know that I have incremented its frequency already, so its frequency will now become 2, right? Next step, what will happen? I'll be at this element 2 and I'll mark its frequency as, like, this frequency is 0 and 2's frequency would be 1, right? So then what I'll do is I can easily iterate through the hash map, and hash map is having all the values between 1 to n, right? I'll iterate to the hash map, or I'll iterate through all the values from 1 to n. I'll check the frequency for every element. For every element from 1 to n, I'll check the frequency. That is, what I'll do is I'll see, okay, 1 is occurring one time, I'll say perfect. 2 is occurring 1 time, I'll say perfect. Now 3 is occurring 0 number of times, right? So that means the missing number in this particular array, you can see that 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 should be present, and here 3 is the missing number, right? So I can easily see that since 3 is a missing number, so 3's frequency is 0, right? So that's why I'll say that okay, the missing number here is 3. Now next up, what will happen? I need to find that what is the repeating number, right? So I can also use the hash map here, this particular hash map in which I have already calculated. I can see that okay, 4 is occurring 2 number of times, so the repeating number is 4, and I can simply return them into in form of an array in the respective language that I am using, right? Is this much part clear to everyone? Please hit the like button and give me a quick plus one in the chat if this approach is also clear to everyone, right? Using the concept of hash map, and hash map, or you can say hashing, right? Saying hashing would be much more perfect. So if I'm using hashing, so I'm taking order of n time complexity, and I'm also taking order of n space complexity, right? And this is good, this is very good, right? This is okay. Now there's one more approach for solving this particular problem, and that is using the concept of XOR operators, right? So if I can use the concept of XOR as well, how? Let's take this example. So how I can use the concept of XOR, I'll let you know in a minute, right? So what's the intuition behind using XOR? First of all, what are the properties of XOR? If you have understood the hashing part, you can write a clear in the chat, or you can write a plus one in the chat and like the video if you haven't done it. A little acknowledgement would help, right? That encourages me that okay, you have understood it, and maybe I can explain more and more concepts to you, right? So if I have a particular XOR, so what I can do is I know properties of XOR, right? So there are 4 properties. Basically 4 properties means 4 things that I want to show you, 4 observations that I want you to make. If I do 0 or 0, so I'll get 0. If I do 0s or 1, so I'll get 1. If I do 1s or 0, so I'll get 1. If I do 1s or 1, then I'll get what? 0, right? So observe these 2 things. 0s or 0 is 0, and 1s or 1 is 1. So if same bits are getting XORed, in that case the answer is 0, right? Or you can say it is getting neglected. And if different bits are getting XORed, so I am getting 1. So that means if I have a number p, let's say that value p is 4, so if I have p, so p's representation, binary representation would be 100, right? And if I do p's or p, right? If I do p's or p, so that means one like 4s or 4, so 100s or 100 in terms of binary representation, so this would give me nothing but 000. So that's what I'm saying, that if p's or p are the same numbers, like p is a number, and if I do p's or p, so I'll get nothing but 0, right? This is something that I will get. So that's one observation. Now another thing that I need to understand it, if I do 0s or p, so I'll get p, right? These are the things that you need to understand. Like, is this much part clear to everyone? Please give me a quick plus one in the chat if you have understood this part, that how I'm going to use the concept of XOR. First of all, what properties I've derived from XOR, right? 0s or 0, all these things, right? Same property, same XOR will give me this, right? So that's why p is or p, that is the same number doing XOR with same number. If the number is occurring twice, so doing it XOR with give me 0, and if I do 0s or p, so it will give me p, right? So like if I have 4 100, right? If I had 100, if I had XORed it with 0000, so that would give me 100, so it would remain the same, that is p, right? That's what happens. All of you can give me a quick plus one in the chat. Now how does this concept apply on the array, right? How can I use this concept for my advantage? So let's say if I have the array that is 1 4 1, and then let's say it was something like a 2 and 4, like if this was the sample array that was given to me. Now what I'm trying to basically do is I'm trying to reduce my space complexity of order of 1 to order of 1. That is something that I'm trying to do. So I'll let you know like how I'm approaching this particular thing. So what I can do is, I know that this array has been given to me, right? And I'm using the concept of XOR, right? And I know that n size is what? I know that n is equal to nothing but 4, right? I know that the size of the n is 4. All of you can just give me a quick plus one in the chat for acknowledgement purpose, right? If n is equal to 4, so the elements I know that should be 1 2, let me write in terms of this. So the element that I want is 1 2 3 and 4. This is something that I want, right? So what I can do is, I know that if some elements are occurring twice, right? So in that case I'll have something. If some elements are not occurring, so in that case also I'll have something, right? So one thing that I can easily observe is, let's say if I have a particular array, right? And if I have to find that okay, some element is occurring and some element is not occurring. So how can I do that? Can I say that if an element is occurring twice, so its XOR would be 0, right? Its XOR would be 0, right? And if an element is occurring only once, so you'll get that particular element, right? So I hope that this part is clear to all of you, the intuition behind the XOR, intuition behind using XOR. All of you can hit the like button, and please hit the like button, guys, so that this quality video reaches as many people as possible, right? So if I have XOR, right, so I can use the concept of XOR for finding the missing and the repeating number both. I can use the concept of XOR for finding the missing as well as the repeating number. If I have the missing number, in that case there would be one approach. Repeating number, I'll have the one approach. You can think of it. I'm giving you 30 seconds. I'm waiting for your replies to see whether someone is able to come up with the XOR approaches or not. Right? If I have to do XOR, how can I use this concept, that is P XOR P is equal to 0 and P XOR 0 is equal to 0 or something like this? How can I P XOR 0 is equal to P, right? So all these concepts, how can I use them to my advantage, right? All of you can hit the like button. Please hit the like button, guys, right? So if I have this particular array and if I have this particular array, how can I basically find that whether an element is occurring more than once or whether an element is occurring only once, right? All of you can just let me know, how can I use the concept of XOR? Since we are doing it live, so I want the answers from all of you. If someone is knowing, so you can just write that how I can use the concept of XOR, all these properties of missing and things like these, that I can use to find it, right? Anyone would like to suggest me that? Anyone would like to suggest how I can do this? Anyone would like to suggest in the chat? Okay, I'm just waiting for maybe 30 seconds more for your reply and then I'll tell you. Right? Anyone would like to tell me in the chat? Okay, I'm waiting for you. Right, so I'll let you know. Basically, the concept of XOR, as I said, if a number is repeating, then its XOR would be zero. This same element XOR would be 0. If it's not repeating, so this is something that you'll have. So if XOR, okay, Swaroop and Lalit, all of them are giving answers. Lalit is saying two nested loop. No, two nested loop will give me order of n square times. That is something that I don't want. I want order of n answer with XOR. So Swaroop is saying if I XOR the array, then we get the result of all non-repeating numbers. All non-repeating numbers, okay. And Swaroop is saying using this result again, we XOR with the same array, get back the repeating number. So Swaroop is saying that if I XOR the array, then we get the result of all non-repeating number. So if you XOR this particular array, you are saying that you first of all take the XOR of this array. So 4, XOR 1, XOR 2, XOR 4, and then you are saying that if use this result again, we use XOR with the same array. With the same array. Okay, you are saying that we XOR it with the same array. So you are saying that maybe if I do something like this, 4 XOR 1, XOR 2, XOR 4, something like this you are saying. So that will neglect everything, right? So that's not something that will happen. That's not something that will help. Can you think of anything that will help, right? So if you have this thing, right, let's try and see if you have this particular array, that is 1, XOR 2, XOR 4, XOR 4, right? I'm writing it in these terms, and the original array that I want is 1, XOR 2, XOR 3, XOR 4. If I want this particular array, right, I can easily observe that if these values are XORed, so if element is occurring only one number of times, so I can see that if I do XOR of these two overall, right, overall if I'm doing XOR, so 1 and 1 gets cancelled, 2 and 2 gets cancelled, right? So I can see that this is something that will happen, and you can see that 4 and 4 are also getting cancelled. So I have 3 XOR 4, right? This is something that I get, right? This, have you understood this part? So XOR result would be 0. Yes, so if the XOR result is 0, so in that case, how it is helping me? Can anyone let me know? Anyone? How we can do this? I want the answers from all of you. Like I'm taking some time for waiting for you guys to tell me how we can do this particular approach. Okay, right? So if I have 1 XOR 2 XOR 3 XOR 4, and if I have 1 XOR 2 XOR 4 XOR 4, right? How can I use these two arrays for finding that? How will I do it, right? How can I do it? Just let me know. I'm waiting for 30 seconds more for you guys. I'm waiting it for you guys. You can just let me know. Anyone would like to tell me in the chat any approach that you think that we can do? I'm just waiting for you guys. Okay, how will you do this? Anyone would like to tell me how we can do this? How will you do this? Okay, you don't want me to tell. Right, so I'll just wait. I'll give you some time for discussing the XOR. But there's one more approach to do this particular problem. There's one mathematical approach. I'll just wait for some time for let you think like how we can do it. But let's discuss one of the mathematical approaches for doing this problem. Let's say if I have 4, 1, 4, and let's say 2. This was the array that's one given to me. And if I have 1, 2, 3, and 4, this particular thing, right? If this is the array that has been given to me and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, what I can do is I can use the concept of mathematics. I can bring mathematics into it. Hash map for one loop, I've already told that in the session, right? So that is something that I've already told. Lalit, array method, yes, signing method is also something that we can do. So how we can use this particular mathematical approach for us? So what we can do is, if you have 4, 1, 4 and 2, right, this particular array, and if you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, right, this particular array, what you can do is you can easily find the sum. Let's say this is sum, right? So this sum gives me what? 4 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2, right? And let's say the sum 2 that I am getting is the sum of all these elements. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, right? So this is something that I am getting. So now if I subtract these two, if I subtract these two arrays, right? So if I'm subtracting, so what will I get? Let me just check, right? So if I do this, so what I'll get is, I'll get something like a minus b. Let's say a is my missing number. Let's say a is my missing number and b is my repeating number, right? In that particular case, if I subtract these two equations, then what will I get? Let me show you. Yes, I just want to ask, if I am not able to think the logic, is it natural and happening with you as well? Did you also crack the logic for this question at the very first time? I was able to crack the logic for the very first time because I had solved a lot of bit manipulation problems, the bit concepts or concept problems. So that's why I was able to crack it. Swaroop, if you are not able to get it, so that's pretty natural, I would say, right? So that's okay. That's completely fine, right? So if you have this and this, so what you can do is, if you subtract these things, right, if you subtract these things like this and then this, right, like this, right, so this is something that will happen, right? You can see, if I'll subtract this for you once again. Let me just, give me a second. I'll change the color of the pen and I'll subtract this for you once again. So if I am doing this thing, if I'm doing it this way, so let me change the to color white, right? 4, if I subtract 4 with 4, right, I am subtracting someone. I'm doing sum minus sum 2, right? I'm subtracting this above sum with the sum 2. So 4 and 4 get cancelled, 1 and 1 get cancelled. Then what happens? All of you can like the video, right? I can see that the number of people watching are more compared to the number of people who have liked. So you can like. Now 1 when 1 gets cancelled, 2 and 2 get cancelled. So what do I get? I get sum minus sum 2 as nothing but 4 minus 3, right? This is something that I'm getting. Okay, this is one of the things that I get. Now what is this thing? What is this thing? Can I say that this array is nothing but, this array is having the repeating number, right? This array is having the repeating number and this array is having the missing number, right? So I can develop an equation. Let's say the missing number is a, repeating number is b. So I can say that my a minus b is something, right? A minus b is 4 minus 3. Let's say I have got a minus b, right? Have you understood this part? Please give me a +1 in the chat if you understood what is a minus b. A minus b is nothing but missing number minus repeating number, something like this, right? This part is clear, right? I want to find two numbers, and if I want to find two unknowns, I need two equations, right? This is something that I am trying to give you intuition, that if I want two numbers, right, if I want two numbers, then in that case what I want is, if I want two numbers, then I need two equations, because to solve two unknowns I need two equations. This is a mathematical concept, right? So if I've considered one of the numbers as missing and repeating, right? Let's say a and b are there, right? A is, let's say one of the numbers is missing and one of the numbers is repeating, that I want, right? So these are the two numbers that I want to return in the end. So I'll say that, okay, I get a minus b. I get a minus b as some positive value, right? I get a minus b as some value, right? Can I say that I want a value that is a minus b if I also had a minus b, right? If I also had something like a minus b, if I also had something like a minus b, then I could have easily calculated it. How? Because if I say that a plus b is there. If I say a plus b was also there with me, and it had some value, let's say x, right? So I could have easily solved it for 2 is equal to some value, then I could have got a value, then I could have, once I get a value, so I could have put a into this equation, or maybe I could have put a into this particular equation, right? This particular equation, and then if I had put in the value of a in this equation, then I could have got both the unknowns a and b, right? So the target for me here is, if you are understanding this part mathematically, that if I know that I have taken sum 1 minus sum 2, right? So I get a minus b. A minus b is clear to me, right? Please give me a plus 1 if you have understood this. That a minus b value I've got by taking the sum of the first array, the original array, that the array that's been given to me, and the expected array, right? 1 2 3 4 up till n, right? So I know what is a minus b, what is the a minus b, right? But I want a plus b as well, so that I can calculate both a and b, right? In the end, like, these are the two simultaneous equations that I'll have. So what I can say is I can use the concept of squares. I can use the concepts of squares. How? There's one thing that I can do. If I also have something like a minus b square, if they have some value, let's say they have some value as w, right? If I have some, this is some number w, right? So if I also have a minus b square as w, then I have a minus b, right? So if I do a divided by b, then in that case, what will I get? If I had a square minus b square, then I'm saying if I had a square minus b square, I have a minus b. So if I had a square minus b square, if I divide a by b, a minus b by 8, so I'll get a plus b. How I'll get it? I'll let you know in a minute, right? So this is something that I have, a square minus b square divided by a minus b. So this would be nothing but a plus b and a minus b divided by a minus b. So a minus b gets cancelled, so I'll get a plus b as well with some value, right? Are you able to get this part? Please give me a quick plus 1 or clear in the chat if you have understood this part, right? That how I am trying to derive it mathematically. I have already this equation, that is sum 1 minus sum 2. This is nothing but sum 1 minus sum 2 that I have got, right? The first two equations, the original array sum and the expected array, the array 1 to n that I wanted. Now if I get something like a square minus b square, I know that a minus b is having some value. Now I want a plus b. If I had a plus b, then I would have solved the simultaneous equations and I would have got the values of a and b, right? But I do not have a plus b. So how do I get a plus b? I can get a plus b if by getting this thing. By getting this thing, instead of touching my face like this, I'm touching it like this, right? So what's happening? The concept is that I can get a square minus b square. If I can get a minus b, so if I square the values, I can get a square minus b square as well, right? I can get a square minus b square as well. If I get a square minus b square, if I divide it by a minus b, so I'll get a plus b as well. And once I have a plus b is equal to something, let's say x, and a minus b is equal to y, then I can easily solve it. Just a plus b some value, a minus b some value. So in that case, I can easily solve it for a and b, right? And I can get the missing and the repeating number. So that is something that I'll try to get here, right? How will I try to get it here? So let me write the array once again. I know that you know that how I have calculated a minus b. Now let's calculate for a square minus b square. So if the array is something like this, let's say this is the given array to me, right? Okay, if this is the given array and this is 1 2 3 4, right? Like this, right? So what I'll do is I'll square both of the arrays. So 4 square plus 1 square plus 4 square plus 2 square, right? This is, let's say, temp 1, right? This is temp 1, and let's say temp 2 is the square of all these values, 1 2 3 4, right? So I'll do 1 square plus 2 square plus 3 square plus 4 square, right? I'll subtract these two. I'll subtract temp 1 from temp 2. What do I get? 4 square gets cancelled, 1 square gets cancelled, 2 square gets cancelled. So I get nothing but 4 square minus 3 square. And can I say that I have reduced this equation to nothing but a square minus b square? If I already know the value of a minus b. Now I also know the value of a square minus b square, right? That is 16 minus 9. I know that value. Whatever that value is, I don't care. I'm just telling you for the generalized purpose, right? Or if you can just write clear in the chart if this particular approach is clear. So that means I've got a minus b as well. A minus b is some value. That numerical value is okay, but I've got a square minus b square as well. In terms of numbers, I already know a minus b, what is the value of a minus b. So if I know that, so that means, can I say that if I know that, so I know a square minus b square, from here I've known what is a square minus b square, right? From here I have known what is a square minus b square. I know already what is a minus b. So can I say that a square minus b square can be written as a plus b, a minus b, and I'm dividing it by a minus b. So I know all these values. I know the value x of a square minus b square. Let's say the value of y is of a minus b. I know that value. So I'll get some new value z. by dividing, right? So that's why what will happen, a plus b is equal to some value z, right? Let's say, so that's what I'm saying. If a minus b is equal to y, some numerical number, right? Y, where y and x belongs to integer, right? Y and x are some integer values or some numbers, whole number, integer, anything, that it could be anything, right? And if I have a plus b as nothing but z, so from here I can easily calculate 2a is equal to something. If I calculate it, like so I hope that you can understand this part, right? That is what I'm saying, that in this way what will happen is you'll add these two equations, so you'll get 2a is equal to nothing but y plus z, where y and z are values, so you'll get a is equal to y plus z by 2, right? And then what you can do is you can use the concept that since you have the numerical value of a, right, so then you will get a as well, and you already know z. So if you know a, if you know z, then you can calculate easily b is equal to z minus a or something like this, right? So in this way you will be able to reduce this equation, and in just order of n time, and order of one space, you'll be able to get the missing and the repeating number. Please write a +1 in the chat if this part is clear to everyone, right? Is this particular approach clear to everyone in the chat? In the chat, is everyone clear with this approach? Please give me a quick +1 in the chat so that I can move forward. Now, there's one more approach for solving this problem. I don't know, I myself cannot keep a count like how many approaches I'm telling you today, but that's something that just comes naturally whenever I see this problem, right? So I can use the sign trick, right? Sign, positive, negative sign, right? I can use the concept of positive, negative sign, right? Positive / negative sign trick. This is one trick. If you haven't done this like this way, or if you are someone who is a competitive programmer, then you can crack this easily. But if you are doing this for the first time, if you are understanding this for the first time, so I'll let you know the complete intuition behind it, right? So let's say if I have this particular array, right? If I have this particular array, Aryan, you are giving a -1. What does it mean? Can you give me a +1 quick? A little quick, everyone, right? All of you can just like the video if you are someone who has just joined us, right? Now, what do I have? I have 4, I have 4, I have 1, I have, let's say, 2. And the original array, let me mark the indexing, right? Let me put in terms of indexing. So indexing is 1, index is 2, index is 3, index is 4. This is nothing but index, right? Now what I can say is this is the array ARR and this is the index, right? So what I will do is, if a particular element is occurring, let's say this 4 is occurring, right? If a particular element is occurring, right, so I'll mark its index as, like, if this element 4 is occurring, like, I'll pick this element out. What is ARR of 0? ARR of 0 is nothing but 4. So I'll do what? I'll mark the index. I'll mark the index 4, that is this particular index, as -1. At this particular index, I'll mark the element as -1, whichever element is there, right? So what I'll do is this I'm at this particular current element, right? I'm at this particular current element, that is 4. What is the element? 4. So I'll go to the 4th index and I'll mark the element present there as -1. So this 2 would become -2, right? Because I'm saying that, okay, this element is 4, the current element is 4, so I'm saying that at the whatever the current element's value is, I'll go to that particular index. So I'll go to the index 4 and I'll mark the element there, whichever element is present, I'll mark it as -2. I'll say, okay, this element is marked as -2, right? Is this much part clear to everyone? Right. Now next step what I'll do is I'll go to its again. I'll go to this element, right? I'll go to this 4, and if I go to this element 4, so what happens? I'll go to this element 4. Right? I went to this element 4, and now can you observe one thing? If I was going to an element for the first time, if I was going to an element for the very first time, then if I was like, what is 4? 4. I'll go to this index 4 again. So at index 4, I already have -2. So although the array has given me all the values as positive, right? All the values are lying between the range 1 to n, and I took it one time. If the element only was occurring one time, then I will go to each index one time and I'll make the value -1. But if I'm going to this index 4, I went to this index 4 again, and I saw that the value already was -2, right? I went to this index 4 again, I saw that the value already was -2, but the array did not have any negative value in the starting, right? All the elements were positive. So that means I must have made this value at -2 initially, right? Somewhere before I must have made it, like when I was here, I made it as -2. I know that. That means that if I have made it -2 already, so that means that I'm coming to this index again. So that basically indicates that 4 is the duplicate element. Can I say that repeating element is equal to 4? Please write a clear or a +1 in the chat if you have understood this part, right? That what I was saying was, whenever you are going to particular element, right? Whenever you are going to a particular element, so whatever element you are going to, you go to its index, like element is 4. So you go to the index 4, you mark the element as -2, right? Right, this is what you do. Let's say you were at index element 1, so you go to index 1 and you mark the element as minus, right? That is something that you do. Now if you have marked 2 as -2, right, you have already marked the element at the index 4 as -2, right? So when you are at this element, so you'll say that, okay, I need to go to index 4. I'll go to index 4. Once I go to index 4, what happens? If I'm going to index 4, so that basically says, if I'm going to index 4, right? Now if I'm going to index 4, so what does it mean? If I'm going to index 4 again and I see that the element is already negative, right? So if the element is already negative, that means that I'm reaching this index back again. So that means that this is the repeating element, right? Is this much part clear to everyone? Please write a clear in the chat if this much part is clear. Also, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button if you have understood this part, right? And you haven't liked the video, you can hit the like button, right? Is this approach clear to everybody? I hope that it is clear to everyone, right? I hope this approach is clear to everyone, right? That whenever I go to an element to make it negative, I reach a particular element, right? I'm at a particular element array of I, so I go to that particular index and I mark that index as minus. But if that index is already minus, so if I'm at element 4, so I'll say that, okay, I need to make the element present at the element index 4 as negative. But if it is already negative, so that will mean that it is present more than one time, so it is the repeating element, right? This is what I'm saying. Hash map, maths method, both cleared. And what about this method? Sign method, positive, negative sign method is also clear to you guys, right? I hope that this particular method is also clear to you guys, right? Okay, is it clear? I hope that it's clear, right? Okay, is it clear to everyone? Right. Now, what I'll do is, I'm saying that, okay, let's mark every element, right? Let's do this repetitively. So if your element is already marked as -1, so I'll not change it, right? So now I'll come to this particular index, right? So I'll say that repeating is equal to 4, right? I know that repeating element is 4. Now what can I say? If I am at this particular element 1, then I'll mark it as minus, right? Then what will happen? I'll see this particular element -2, right? So I know this element is -2, but I'll always take the absolute value, right? It might have been there that I might have made it -1 because I want to mark it, but I'll always, whenever I'm going to particular element, I am taking its absolute value because indexes are never negative. So if the element is -2 here, so that means I'm at this particular element. If this element's index is -2, so that means what? I want to go to the index 2, right? Because the element is all minus, because I have made it negative, but the element is 2, so I want to go to the index 2 and I want to mark the element there as minus. So I'll mark this element as minus. Now notice one thing. Are all the elements becoming negative? Or tell me one thing, just look at this particular array, right? Look at this particular array and tell me one thing, which element is positive, at which index the element is positive, and what is the significance of that particular index, right? Can we get some clue? Can you give me some observation, right? Please give me an observation. Which element, what do I get? What do I see? Which element is not having, at which index the element is still positive? Which is that only one index is there, at which the element present there is positive, rest all elements have become negative. So which element is that is having a positive value? Just let me know. A little quick. Can I say that at the index 3, right? Can I say that at the index 3 the element is having a value of 1? So that means at whichever index, I'll iterate through all the indexes. I starts from 1, you can say, or I is less than equal to n. I'll iterate through all the indexes, and at whichever index an element is positive, so that would simply indicate that, okay, this element is not present. That's why the element present at that particular index is not initialized to not given a value -1. So that means this one is not having a -1. So that means that I never reached the element, the index 3, because I did not have any element 3. So that means the missing element is equal to 3, right? Please give me a quick clear in the chat. Write a clear in the chat, of +1 in the chat if you have understood this part as well, and also hit the like button if you have understood it, right? Please hit the like button and give me a quick +1 in the chat, right? Okay, please give me a +1 in the chat if you have understood this part. that if you are going to an element, right, you once you have given all the elements, once you have given all the elements as a negative sign, then in that case what's happened, you will see that okay, one element is still that is not getting a negative value. Why? Because you must have not reached that particular index, and that means that that particular index, that particular element was not present. That is why you must have not reached that particular index to make it as -1, right, to multiply it with -1, right, to make it negative. So that means that the index is 3 and the element would be 3, right? Please write a clear in the chat if you have understood this part, right? I've tried to explain it a lot. Let me show you the code part so that you can understand it a little better. So this was the code for hash map. I'll show you the first of all the code for this particular approach. So also the since the indexing is 0 based, so that is why I'll be doing always absolute -1, right? Because the actual array that has been given to me, it is 0 based index, right? So that's why I'll assume this. So that's why my doing a -1 would help. So this is the resultant array in which I'll be marking the repeating number and the missing number, right? So what I'll do is I'll go to a particular element and I'll do absolute value. I'll do absolute value. So as I told you, right, that the it can happen that element could be -2, right, at that particular, but that is because I multiplied -2 to it. So that's why I want to make it as 2. Now if the element is 2, so since I'm taking a 0 based indexing, so that's why I need to do a -1 as well. So that is why 2 will be marked with 1, because I'm taking here a 0 based indexing. So that is why this would happen, right? So what will happen if the current element is already negative, right? If the current element, if the current element, I'll get the current element, right? Let's say if I had 4 1, no, if let's say I have 4 and then 4 and then 1 and 2, if this is something that I had, so at 4, at the element which is present at the index 4, I'll mark it as -2. So if it is not 0, right, so element at the index 4, that is 2, is not 0, right? 2 is greater than 0, so I'll mark it as -2 here, right? I'll come here and mark it as -2. Then I come to this 4 again, so I'll see what is the element at the index 4. So I can say that this particular element is -2, right, and it is already minus. So that means that the element at the index 4 is -2, right? So that means that this is the repeating element, because since it is already initialized to -2, that means 4 must be occurring 2 times. So that's why what I'll say is result is equal to current plus 1, because here I had subtracted it to 1. So that's why I'll say that okay, 4 is the repeating element. So in the result, what I'll say is 4 is the repeating element. So I'll say okay, repeating. Right now, next step what will happen, I'll iterate through the array once again. If the element at the ith index is positive, so that means if the element at the ith index is positive, right, in that case what will happen, if the element at the current index is positive, so in that case I'll say that okay, I plus 1 is my answer, right? I'll say that okay, this particular like if this element is positive, so that means if the at the ith index the element is positive, so that means that I plus 1th element was not present, right? So this is how I would do it. Please write a clear in the chat if you have understood this part, right? So this was the problem for today, and I'll show you the hash map code for it, like how you can do it using hash map. So basically you mark a number, missing number, repeating number, you have a hash map, you initialize all the you update all the frequencies. Once you have done that, so what you do is once you have taken all the frequencies in the map of all the elements, so if a particular element is occurring less than twice, right, so in that case, like this is something that you can easily do, right? If an element is occurring only one time, so in that case it's perfect. If its element is occurring 0 number of times, in that case you will say that okay, since it is occurring 0 number of times, so you need to you need to mark it as a missing number. If it is occurring more twice, 2 number of times, in that case you will say that okay, it is occurring more than once, right? So that's the repeating number. So this was it for the problem of the day for today. Thanks a lot everyone for joining in. I have taken a lot of time, so sorry for that, but I hope that you have understood the explanation clearly. Thanks a lot for joining in. I'll see you soon in the next live. Till then, take care.